There's lots of reasons why you might choose to link a Revit project to your existing project. When you create a link to a Revit project, you're embedding an entire Revit project into your current project. It will come in as a single object that you can move around and position relative to the geometry in your existing project. And then if the owner of that original Revit linked file makes changes to that file, you can come back later and reload the link and capture those latest changes to that file. So there's lots of times when you might choose to use this procedure, and it might involve collaboration on a project with other disciplines, like other engineers and so forth. Perhaps they're going to work in Revit, you're going to work in Revit, and you both link your files together. If you're doing a multi-building campus project, each building might be a separate linked file. So there's a lot of scenarios where it would be appropriate to do your work in multiple Revit projects and then link them together for coordination. So in this movie, what I'm going to do is link in an MEP model that was created with the HVAC system for this building, and then we'll take a look at how that comes in and then use that as a coordination tool going forward. So I'm in a file called linkrevit, and I'm just in the level 1 floor plan currently. And what I want to do is bring in this MEP model. So I go to the Insert tab, and then here I'm going to click the Link Revit button. That'll bring up the browse window, and any of the Revit projects that I have available will be shown. And I'm going to select this one here called MEP Model. Now, if you watch the movie on linking CAD formats, there was a whole bunch of options down at the bottom of the dialog, but you'll notice here when we link a Revit project, there's only one option, positioning. Where do you want it to go? Well, hopefully, if you're coordinating with an MEP engineer, the two of you have coordinated your origins. So in this case, I'm going to choose Auto Origin to Origin, and that will mean that the two files will line up perfectly with one another. They share a common origin. I'm assuming that the engineering file was created from the architectural file, and usually that will make sure that the origins match. If they don't match, you can always just move the file after it comes in. But let's give this a try. Let me go ahead and click Open. A message is appearing that there's a nested link that's going to be invisible. So the MEP engineer started with an architectural model as the background. So they're not going to recreate all of the architecture. They actually used linking as well to create their model from. So they started with an empty project. They linked in the architectural model, and then they built their ducts and other engineering data inside that model. So what this message is telling me is that Revit is only going to bring in the MEP model. It's going to leave behind the architectural model, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to click Close here. This particular view, it doesn't look like anything happened. Well, all of the HVAC stuff is happening up above the ceiling. So this is really not the best view for us to see the result of what we just did. We might want to open up a section here or a ceiling plan. One of those views would give us a better look at what just happened. Now, if you want to verify that a file actually did get linked in, you can come over here to the project browser, scroll down, and at the very bottom of the browser is the Revit Links option. If you expand that, you can see that there's an MEP model listed there, and it's got this little blue down arrow next to it. That's how we know that that model is loaded and it's currently active in the file. If it had a red X, it would be telling us that it was unloaded. So this one has the blue arrow. That means it's basically ready to go. So let's take a look at where that file is. I'm going to scroll back up, and there's two places we might want to check out. Let's try the ceiling plan. So I'm going to do level 2 ceiling plan, and you'll notice that a series of diffusers and returns are appearing here on the ceiling plan now, and they're in those colors, so they're real easy to see. Those are the Revit Link model. So if I put my mouse over here, you can see it wants to highlight the ceiling, but if I press the Tab key, at some point the message will say Revit Link, and if I click, notice that all of those highlight, and there's that box that surrounds the thing. If you zoom out, you can kind of see it right there. That's the Revit link. So you can see the Revit link is superimposed directly over our architectural file, and it appears right there. If you double-click this section head, that's another way that you can see this MEP information. It's right there. So again, if I highlight these lines right here, that outline appears up there, and we click on them, and we can see that MEP information that has been added to our project. Linking in a Revit project is a fairly simple process to achieve, and it's a great way for you to coordinate your efforts with other users who are also using Revit, be they external consultants working outside your firm or other users within your firm if you're doing a multi-building project.